Hey guys, Gazing Magic back again, and it's time for part 2 of the Splinterlands Card Market Watch for June 8th, 2025. So we're going to start where we always do, right back at the beginning with Alpha. And what you're looking at here are Alpha Common cards. So these are all the different Alpha Common cards on the marketplace. Lowest price is 73 cents for the Spineback Wolf. You see there's only 7 for sale. Scroll through these. So all 20 are represented this week on the market, but not very high quantities for any of these cards. So you can see here there's anywhere from low thousands up to the mid 5,000 total in circulation. Let's move on to rares. So your rare alpha cards, once again there were 20 cards for the rare slot in alpha, starting at $1.70. Moving up to $8.80 for the Earth Elemental. And that is for a combined, well, actually the $8.80 for a single BCX. As you can see, other than that, they're going for about $2.25 to $3 per BCX. Let's look at the Archons. See here, this is the price for Alpha Archons for the rare slot, $2.74 for Liana, $5.99 for Alric, $6.45 for Tyrus, $7.45 for Zintar, and Malric at $8.67. Take a look at Alpha Epics, anywhere from $7 from the Dark Enchantress, up to $60 for the Swamp Thing. And this is for a level 4, so there's no single BCX cards available on the marketplace. So that is why there's that high price. But all 10 epics are represented. As you can see, very low quantities, only single digits of each of these on the marketplace, and just over 1,000 for most of these in circulation total. Looking at your legendary cards, there's 9 legendary cards, all represented here. Cheapest is $28.21 for Spirit of the Forest, moving up to $390 for Selenia's Sky, the legendary Dragon Summoner. And this is for a max level copy at $390. Only 8 were needed to be combined to get max level for Alpha. And if we take a look at the gold foil versions, so $15 is the floor for Alpha gold foils. So you can see beautiful cards, very easy to tell that these are gold foils. All 20 commons are represented on the marketplace, but some of these you can see there's only single copies or 2, not very many. Total circulation looks like anywhere from mid 200s up to mid 300s. And remember, this is for commons, not for epics or legendaries. This is all the gold foil commons there are for Alpha. Taking a look at rares, rares start at just under $50, up to $1,500 for Tyrus, and there are 17 of the 20 rares represented here. Okay, moving on to epics. So you've got all 10 epics represented here, anywhere from $275 for Mischievous Mermaid, up to $2,800 for Defender of the Truth. Anywhere from 1 to 4 copies is all that is available on the marketplace. And then finally, your legendary cards. There are amazingly 5 out of the 9 represented on the market. So kind of surprised, especially when you look at the amount that are in circulation. You know, you're looking at under 20 for Spirit of the Forest, only 13 for Angel of Light. You know, extremely limited rare cards. To me, these are the original arcane cards that we currently have in Conclave Arcana. And you can see the prices that they're asking for here. Okay, let's take a look now at Alpha and the promo cards. So for your promo cards, you had 1 card of each rarity. We have 1 of each here. Dragon Whelp is the common for $5.90. Nebseni is the rare for $6.88. Royal Dragon Archer for $95. And Shinlo the legendary for $500. Gold foil versions, you have 3 of the 4. You have the common, the rare, and the legendary, going for $34.45 for the common, $300 for the rare, and $3,000 for the legendary. Okay, that's it for Alpha. Take a look at Beta, the core and reward cards. Let's look at starting with regular foil, the commons. So not too surprising, but 6-7 cents. These are trending up very, very slowly. A few months ago, there were 3-4 cent commons, so they are starting to tick up slowly in price. But there are tons. You can see the ones that are the cheapest and have the highest print run are the ones that were the reward cards. So if you take out the reward, you can see there's anywhere from 10 to maybe 16,000 of each of the commons in the core set. And they go on price up to, most expensive is 60 cents for the Crustacean King. So those are your beta commons. Let's take a look now at the rares. Rares start at just under 30 cents for Boogeyman and Gremlin Blaster. Chicken, you can see, is down to 33 cents. I believe it was either 2 weeks ago or a month ago. I remember that the chicken was right at 50 cents, so he's come down a little bit. So your most expensive rare is surprisingly not a summoner. It's Enchanted Pixie, $3.70, only 4 available. If we look at the Archons, so your beta Archons range from 40 cents for Zintar up to, surprisingly, Liliana is the most expensive at $1.25. Ulrich has come down to $1.17. This is actually a very good price. I know when he was in the low, like $2 range, I was picking him up. So $1.17. Even though I don't play Wild. Okay, there's 5 copies at $1.17, and then it almost doubles in price for $2.05. So if you're watching this Market Watch, go ahead and check the market right away. See if these are here. I think these are great pickups. So the first one to pick those up, I think you got a great deal. Okay. Let's take a look now at Epic cards. So your Epics start at just under $1, 90 cents for the Fire Spitter and 97 cents for the Imp Bowman. And most expensive are the Summoners, the 2-mana Epics. Xandar is $14.79, 5 available. So you can see here how many are in circulation, how many are currently on the market. So we have a record. We can go back and look months and years from now and just see how many of these are on the market. And then your legendaries, Fallen Spectre is $5.88. He's the cheapest, followed by the Kraken at $6. All the way up to Voldemort. I remember Voldemort used to be, what, $75 a BCX? Now he's down to $40. Let's see how many there are. Just 2 available under $50. Then you start getting into max copies, but even the max copies are only $20, $27 per BCX. So instead of paying $40 for an individual copy, if you have the funds, it is definitely worthwhile to go ahead and grab a max copy if you can afford to do so. Some other key cards, Selenia Sky is at $40. The other summoners $15.50. Prince Renan at $15. I think I've seen him $25 to $30. This might be a good pickup. And Cryptmancer as well, $13.50. Lord of Darkness, $12. So there are, I think, some decent beta legendary cards at pretty good prices from what I've seen. Okay, let's take a look now at the gold foils. So your gold foil commons for beta. Once again, I mentioned this in past videos. Looks like $2 is the floor. $2.50 for Creeping Ooze. $4 for Crustacean King. So definitely some good cards. Flesh Golem at $7. And then, you have the prices that are just a little too high. Rexy for $23.50, unless this is a multiple BCX. Oh, it is. Okay, that's a level 7. That makes more sense that it's $2.94, but then a single copy for $23. So make sure when you're buying a card and you see a higher price that you are getting, more cards, not just a single card at that price. Like this, for example, $135 for a level 9 or $25 for just one card. Okay, moving on to rare. So just under $10 for the cheapest beta gold foil rares. Moving up to your most expensive is $115 for the Cockatrice. Let's take a look at the Archons. So your Archons, Ulrich, okay, makes sense. He's the most expensive, $37.50. Tyrus at 12. So compared to all the rest of them, this might be a little high. You know, if it was like 25 to 30, it's pretty good. Tyrus at 12 might be a little undervalued. Looking at epics, so now your epics, you're starting to hit that $50 floor for gold epics for beta. But then look again at the print run. These are more rare than your legendary gold foils from some of the newer sets. Up to $699.99 for the Mana Core, 200 in circulation. And then finally your legendary gold foils, starting at just under $400 for Korjak and Cryptmancer. Up to $5,500 for Voldemort and Prince Renan. You can see here under 50 in circulation. Okay, so that's it for beta. Let's look now at beta promos. Let's look at just the regular foil. So your common has kind of bounced around the last few months as high as, you know, $1, $1.25 per card. Now we're settling in at around 50 cents. The rare is at 99 cents. The epic at 11.23. Red Dragon at 20. And as I mentioned in part 1, Archmage Arius and Prince Julian, this is the cheapest they've been in a while. You know, they're usually 4 figures, so they're both at $6.74 currently. And then the gold versions, Common Summoner at $15.76, the Rare at $50, Epic at $300, and Red Dragon at $555. Let's look at Orb. So this is your entire Orb set right here. This is it, 12 cards. So your commons range from 9 cents up to 60. Your rares, 29, 30, and 81 cents. Your 2 epics, $1.10 for the healer, $1.44 for the wizard. And then your 3 legendary cards, the Minotaur Warlord at $5.50, Lord of Fire at $6.15, and Corrupted Pegasus has actually moved up since I looked at this earlier and is currently at $20. Let's take a look at that quickly, and that is for a single BCX. But then you can see if you get a higher level card, it gets to be a lot cheaper per card. Typically, I think it's in the $11, you know, $10, $11 range. And then your gold foil versions, you can see 11 of the 12 are represented here. The only one that's not here is the Epic. So $49 for the Wizard. Your commons range from $225 to $575. Your rares from $10.50 to $14. And you can see the 3 legendary cards here. The prices, only a single Lord of Fire, only 41 in circulation, only 39 of the Minotaur Warlord, and only 51 of Corrupted Pegasus. Okay, let's move to Untamed. The core and the reward cards. So your commons range from 2 cents up to 20 cents for Elven Defender, surprisingly the most expensive. As you guys know, it's usually Failed Summoner is usually the most expensive one. Looking at rares, Bone Golem at 6 cents, Phineas Rage at 6 cents, Temple Priest. So there's a few here at 6 cents. That's the floor. Up to 54 cents for Bortus. Let's take a look at the Archons. So anywhere from 11 cents for Contessa. Mother Kala 13 up to 54 as we just saw for Bortus. I think these are starting to trend lower simply because survival mode has been put on hold for a while and there's not as much demand for the summoners to fill out people's decks. Okay, epics, 22 cents for Pyromancer. Up to 87 cents for War Chang. Legendaries start at $1.31. And then you guys know what the most expensive card is. Continues to be for Untamed is Kitty, sitting at $75.90. Chancius, surprisingly, is in number 2 at $25. Usually Jotun's number 2 at $24.95. Llama at 24, Cornelius just under 13, Mimosa just under 12, Kron sitting at 818. And let's look at the gold foil versions, starting with the commons, of course. 58 to 60 cents is your floor for gold commons. All the way up to Albatross for $2.63, Failed Summoner for under $2 at $1.84. Your rares, $2.66 is your cheapest rare gold foil. Moving up to $9 for True Speaker. Now remember how Contessa was the cheapest regular foil? For the gold foil, it's the most expensive, so that's kind of backwards. So either this is very overpriced or Bortus is a little bit underpriced, but still, for a gold summoner, you know, basically $3 to $5, not too bad for those of you that play in Wild. Okay, epics. Now we start getting to $15, $16 is the floor for the epics. You can see $200, $300 for most of these cards, up to the Chief at $234. It's the only one on the market. And then finally for your gold legendaries, $82 for Lear Deep Swimmer is the cheapest. Up to Kitty is $9.95 and Spirit Druid Grog is $1,100. Okay, let's look next at the promos. So your promo cards, like I mentioned in part 1, this is the cheapest I've seen Halfling Alchemist, even $1. So if you don't have this card, great time to pick it up. It's the cheapest as I've seen. Chain Golem is much more expensive at $20, Mighty Dricken at $4.90. But even though this card is $1, the gold foil they're asking $210, and Chain Golem is sitting at $125. Okay, moving on to dice. These are your dice commons, anywhere from 2 cents to 20 cents. Your rares, which are your summoners, range from 13 cents for Quid Yuff, Vera's at 20 cents, Ouster at 28, Bright and Bloom at 55, Lord of Shine at 60 cents. Mylor is under $1 again. He's sitting there at 80 cents. Your epics go from 25 cents up to $2 for Grenadier. This for a single copy. Want to make sure it is for a single copy. A single copy at $2, then you see it jumps up quickly. So this card is getting a little bit pricey. Okay, moving on to your legendaries. $1.98 for Lensmaster. He is the cheapest, up to Epona at $15.95. Crawless. Seen it all over the place, anywhere from about $11 up to like $24, $25. So this card really has a large range of prices that it falls into. So right now it's on the lower end. So if you're looking to pick up a Crawless, that's a pretty good price. Same thing with Epona. I've seen her as high as I believe $40 a few months ago. So probably not as much demand for some wild cards, but these are good prices based on past history. Let's look at the gold foil. So commons are 60 to 90 cents. Your rares, $2.99 for Vera, up to $12.32 for Mylor. Lorna Shine sitting at $6.63. I think that's a good price for her. Epics range from $17 to $20. And your legendaries, $125 up to $3.95 for Two Gun Pete. All right, Chaos Legion. Let's look at the core and first set of reward cards. So your commons, as you guys know, the range basically just a few pennies. So 1 cent up to 5 cents for Scavo Hireling. The rares have come down a little bit in price on the high end. Low end, of course, is staying right at 2 cents. And then your summoners, some of them have dipped under 10 cents. And Kelia has dipped under 20 cents, all the way down to 14 cents per card. And then your Epic cards, 11 cents is the floor. Let it load the correct graphics. There you go. So 11 cents is the floor there. Up to 20 cents for Wave Brood. And then finally your legendaries are still holding above 50 cents. So Jinashanish is sitting there at 53 cents. All the way up to the most expensive this week is Lily Shieldpaw at only $2.57, followed by Immortalis at $2.50 and Possibilis the Wise at $2.25. Okay, your gold common. So after that spike we had a couple months ago, where they spiked up to like 30 to 40 cents, was the cheapest. Now we're back down to the normal range that they have been for months, right around 14, 15 cents a piece. All the way up to the most expensive gold common. Once again, a Scavo Hireling sitting at only 60 cents. Let's take a look and see how many max copies are available on the marketplace. Since we all know that Chaos Legion was so massively overprinted, but yet there's only 8, 17, 20. There's a decent amount of maxed gold foil commons on the marketplace. So if you're still looking to fill up your land with some cheap alternatives, there are some Chaos Legion common gold foils that are still a pretty good price that you can pick up. A bunch of different splinters, it looks like, for under $7. So if you're still filling out land, there is still some good cards there. Okay, let's move on to the rares. So the rares, as we know, a while ago they were pushing like 80 cents to $1 per card. Now they're back down to just over 60. And the most expensive, of course, will be your summoners, but even a Kelia is just under $2 for a gold foil. And let's see, for max level for the rares, now you're looking at anywhere from, well, 17, but this is a neutral. These are two neutrals, so you're looking at basically $19 and up for a max gold rare. Looks like there's quite a bit in that $19 to $20 range. It's the most expensive. Kelia sitting at just under 47. And then next, your gold epics for the max level cards. You can see not very many at all. I usually don't include the neutrals because people are going for specific splinters. So you're looking at 45 to about $60 for a max gold foil epic. Looking at all levels, starting at just over $4. Pretty much you're looking at $5 per card. So 5 to 6 for most of them. Grund is sitting at 7.46. Hunter Jark's at 14. That's probably for multiple copies. Yep, that's for 2. So per card, he's about 7. So pretty typical, $4.50 to $7 range for your gold epics. Your gold legendaries. Months ago, I was like, are we going to hit that $20 floor? Well, we hit 30, I think maybe 35 at one point. Now we're back down, but we're still holding over $27 as your cheapest gold legendary for Chaos Legion. All the way up to, surprisingly, Lily's not up at top. It is Immortalis at 80. I believed earlier when I looked at this, there was one over $100, and I think it was a Jared Scar for like 140 some. So that one either sold or was taken down, and that's just in the last couple hours. Okay, so now after those, let's look at the second set of reward cards. So your commons range from 7 cents up to 28 cents for Fungus Flinger. Your rares, 38 cents to 72 cents for Pembroke Nymph. So it looks like your summoners are still in that 60 to 70 cent range. Your epics, $1.75 up to $6 for Noah of the Just. Your legendaries, $5.99 for Musa Celine, up to $34.50 for Usut. And that is for a level 3. So per card, you're looking at right around $6 per card. And then for your gold foil versions, $1 to $4.83 for the commons. $7.30 to $22 for the rares, $15 to $80 for the epics. And then finally for your legendary cards, out of the 12, there's only 8 represented here, anywhere from 109 for Kulu up to 420 for Usut. Okay, next let's look at promos. So your 2 common promo cards, Vruz and Archimus the Bear, sitting at 5 cents and 7 cents. Oshure is down to $4. Dr. Blight still holding under 5 at $4.96. Zerial at $8.19. Waka at $78.90. And Lux Vega at $179.98. Your gold foils, the Bears at $1.06. Vruz at $1.23. Oshure at $54.45. Gold foil Dr. Blight at $55. Zerial at $98.99, Waka at $1,849, and Lux Vega at $22.45. Those are your promos. Okay, let's go to Rift Watchers. Let's see if that card is still missing. Yes, it is. As you can see here, there are 12 commons listed for Rift Watchers. One is missing. It is the life card. And the life card that it is missing is Damaki Exile. There are no regular foil Damaki Exiles on the marketplace for some reason. Okay, looking at your rare cards, range from 3 cents up to Queen of Crows is down to 13 cents. Your epics, which are your summoners, Dallin is sitting at 17 cents. Ilthane is at 58 cents. And then finally your legendary cards, Runemaster is at 65 cents. Inevitable seems to be the main card in the set, the only one really holding its value. Just above $15 at $15.92. Immolation at $7.50. C-Rec at $4.70. Look at Coral Lurker down to $3.56. Agar Longtail down to $3.25. So some really good legendaries here at good prices. Just a couple bucks a piece. Okay, looking at your gold commons, 18 cents to 73 cents. Your rares, 84 cents to 255 for Queen of Crows. Your gold epics, $5 for Aquatis, up to $8.10 for Thispa. And then finally your gold legendaries. So the gold legendaries are holding their value even if the regular foils aren't. $30 is the floor with Runemancer Flore, up to $155 for C-Rec. Alright, so we're done with the Chaos Legion section. So now let's move on to Rebellion. The core Rebellion cards, as you guys know, holding its value. Cheapest card, 3 cents, kind of surprising. That won't last long. It seems like 5 cents has been the floor. All the way to your dual summoners, which range from 59 cents up to 71. So some of the other key cards have drifted a little bit lower in price. Like I like picking up the 2 mana cards. They're down to about 21 cents, 8 cents. So if you don't have these at level 5, it would be maybe a good time to pick up a few copies and slowly work your way up to 5, where they get that second ability. Okay, your rares, looking at 12 cents as the floor, up to some of the summoners. So Moxian Rebel isn't the most expensive at $130. It is now Avina the Wolf at $1.88. You guys know there's probably, well, there isn't a lot of self-heal in the new Modern, so that is why this card has really moved up in price. This gives any card the ability to be self-healing, so that is huge. Prophet Rosa has moved above $1 at $1.20, and Underboss Fabino at 93 cents. Even Nomos is going up to 69 cents. Your epics, 48 cents is the floor, up to $2.10 for Satha Toledo and $2.11 for Captain Fellblade. And then your legendary cards, really not a whole lot of surprises here. You know, your bottom cards are $3.50 to $5. We went through the prices in part 1, but as you can see, the top 2 continue to be Lorcus at over $40 and Eternal Tofu at an even $60. And then your gold foil common, Chaos Lackey at 59 cents. Then it jumps to 75 cents as the floor, up to 11.50 for Prunda. So you can see the gold foil dual summoners are moving up in price from where they were a couple months ago, where they were basically in that $4 to $6, $7 range. Now they're getting close to $10 plus. Your rares, $1.90, so it looks like $2 is going to be the floor for gold rares for Rebellion. All the way up to Moxian Rebel at just under 16. Avena the Wolf under 10 might be a good buy. And then your epics, $5.60 for Red Worm Hatchling, up to $30 for Paulus. And then finally your gold foil legendaries. Went through a lot of the key card prices in part 1, but just want to give you guys kind of a visual. So you can see here the prices range from $45 plus, and there are just over 100 of these on the market. So we've already got more gold foil legendaries in Conclave Arcana than we have in the entire time that Rebellion packs were opened. And some of the key cards like Lorcus and Eternal Tofu only have just over 100 cards in circulation. Okay, let's look next at the reward cards. So your common reward cards, as you can see here, 10 cents, pretty consistent. Your rares, 43 cents to 57 cents for Commander Slade. Your epics, 207 for Kazi Conjurer, up to $2.82 for the Weaver. And then your legendaries, $9.99 for Frigid Wolf, up to $12.30 for the Warborn Chieftain. Gold foil versions, $2.20 to $2.95. Your rares, $10 to $19.99 for Commander Slade. You can see not very many of these have been unlocked and placed on the market. Your epics, $46 for Kazi Conjurer, up to $68 for the Weaver. And no gold legendaries on the marketplace. Okay, let's look now at the promo cards. So a lot of promo cards to look at. Let's start with just the common Mana Warden. As I mentioned in part 1, the gold foils have disappeared off the market. We know there were tons of these when these were available, both common and gold foil. So you can see here there's now only 6 gold foils on the marketplace. There is one max copy at just under $3 per card, but individual cards there's only 2, and they're both just under $8 each. So not many of these on the market. Don't know if there's going to be many more available. There are 1,100 in circulation, however. And let's just go by these by rarity. So looking at rares, Henchling Enforcer. We went through the prices all on part 1, so I'll just give you guys a minute to just kind of look at not only the prices, but the amount that were printed and the amount that are currently available on the marketplace. Decent amount of all these rares on the marketplace. You start getting a little bit less, of course, when you get to the gold foils, and you really get less when you get to the Rune Anarchist. There just weren't that many cards. So you can see here for a rare, there's only 104. That's as rare as a gold foil tofu, just to put it in perspective. And then, of course, next will be the legendary cards. Baron Fiat, sitting at just under 7. Mantaroth is back to almost 30 after he dipped down a couple weeks ago. And then some of the gold foils, of course, are absent. No gold foil Fizbo. What's the other one? No gold foil Rick. No gold foil Eleanor. There is a Heloise the Hollow still for 1,500. So those are your promos. And then let's wrap this up with, of course, Conclave Arcana. We'll start with the promos since there's only a few. Arcane Skinwalker, regular foil, $1. The gold foil just under 10. Then you get to the black foil, almost 700. The gold foil Arcane, just under 1,000. And then your black foil Arcane, you're sitting at 3,000. Grammel the Hunger, regular foil 19. Gold foil 150. Let's see what else. The black foil arcane, or no, that's just a black foil. $28.99, and then Yabamat, $324. Is that for a single copy or is that a combined copy? I think that's just for an individual copy. Yes, only 5 on the marketplace. $324, $325. You can see very, very hard to pull card. Only 72 currently in circulation. And that is the only version. Oh no, there is a gold for sale. Furs for the low, low price of $100,000. Only 4 in circulation. And you would need all 4 of those, if those are all individual, to get one max copy. Okay, so that is it for your promos. So now let's just look at the core cards. So for Conclave Arcana core set, you're looking at 5 cents to 8 cents for your commons. Where things get interesting, of course, is when you get to the rares. 21, 25 cents are the cheapest, up to your summoners are still holding their value. They're still holding $1.20 to almost $2 a piece. So these continue to stay up there. They're not dropping under $1, it looks like, anytime soon. And with some other decent rares here, 67, 62, you know, several more at 50 cents, you know, to buy a $1 starter pack, you've got a pretty good chance of getting very close to your value back. And of course, if you get a summoner, Archon, you're going to pull out ahead. So I still think starter packs are a great addition, you know, for people that don't want to spend a lot of money. You start filling on those common and rare slots and getting very, very close, I think, to break even value if you buy, you know, a decent amount of them at a time. So great addition. Very, very happy they went with dollar packs in this format. Epics, 77 cents, up to $1.79 for Lucky Long Shot. And then finally your legendaries, Craniax the Quick at 5.14, up to Sheng Xiao at 15.84. Looking at your gold foil versions, gold commons, you're looking at 79 cents is the cheapest, up to $1.60. So not very pricey. So good time to, if you are looking to build your deck gold foil wise like I am, you don't need to get max level. You know, you only need to pick up a handful of these. You know, you can spend $1, just under $1 a card. It's a great way to get that extra 10% bonus. The rares, of course, you start getting more pricey, $3, $4 for the floor for the gold foils. And then, of course, the Archons, they continue to slowly tick up. You know, you're looking at basically $13 to $19 a card. Your Epics range from $11.41 for the Elemental, up to $16 for Blazebeard Merc. And your gold legendaries, $65, up to just about $200 for Jacarella, the Rhyme. Okay, so now are the exciting cards, the different variants, starting with the black foil commons. So black foil commons, I think a couple weeks ago you were looking at maybe 119, 120 was the floor. Now you're starting to get to like 135, 140, you know, pushing $150 for the cheapest one. I think that trend will probably continue. So you're going to see $1.50 or 150 to 160 maybe be the floor in a couple weeks. So you can see there's not many in the marketplace. These have really slowed down, you know, from that initial rush when we first could open packs. You know, when I first did the market watch 2 weeks ago, this was like 84 copies of each, and it's like, man, there's just a ton of these after, you know, just a couple days. But now it's slowed down. You know, you've only got another 11 or 12 of each of these. So I don't see these going much above maybe the low to mid 200s by the time this is all over with. Oh, time will tell. But they range from 134 up to 300 for Conclave Tracker. Your rares, you're looking at $350 is the floor. There's 28 or 29 of each of these. So one thing you can look at, so these there's 28 of. this one. So there are 3 that are 28, and then there is 1 summoner. Okay, so there's 4 cards that are 28, and then a summoner that's 28. So pretty good chance when you open the next rare, you're going to get close to getting this this summoner. Epics, 645 up to 79,000. Only 18 of each of these have been pulled so far. And then finally your legendaries. Now you're looking at 6 to 7 copies of each, anywhere from 1,600 to over 8,200. That's for the black foils. Now we get to the gold arcane. So your gold commons, 250 to 777. Remember, there's 24 of these commons in the set, and there's only 7 of the 24 even listed on the marketplace. And look at this one, the excavator, there's only been 2 that have been pulled so far. So these are not like the black foil where they're going to go, you know, 1 of each rarity before you go, or 1 of each of the commons, let's say, before you go to the number 2s. These are completely random on how they're pulled. Moving to the rares, there's only 3, 499, 725, and 1200. Your gold epics, there's only 1, the Umbral Elemental. And that is by Dwayne. He's got it there for $4,000. And then finally your legendary, the $1 Million Filthy Scavenger by Fluid Flame. Okay. And then finally the rarest of the rare, the Black Arcane. So this is it for the commons. Out of the 24, there's only 6 listed. You can see ranges from Buttercup Mauler. This is the only one. 2 for each of these. 4 for the Artificer. For your rares, only 1 of each of these have been pulled so far, as you can see, that are on the market. So the ones that are on the market, that's it. There's 1. Anywhere from 1,000 to 100,000 for the Dragon Summoner. Epics, once again, 1 of each of these. Anywhere from 1999 to 80,000. And then finally, shout out to Tails, the gold legendary, 1 of 1. This is the 1 of 1. There will not be any more, and it's $19,999. So I think that's it. Have we gone through everything? No, there's one last thing. Let's just take a quick look at the foundations. I don't think we can, though, because you cannot put them on the marketplace. But in case you guys didn't know, there is a new set of cards, foundation cards, that are found in campaign mode. These are cards that you can earn, just basically learning the basics of the game. I believe at some point these cards will be able to be leveled, and I think they will be able to be unlocked and tradable. So stay tuned. That will happen probably sometime in the not too distant future. So that's it for this edition of the Card Market Watch for June 8th, 2025. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you found maybe some good deals or some things that you've been thinking about picking up, and it's like, oh, that's at a pretty good price. So hopefully this video helped you out a little bit, just to kind of get an idea of where prices are at, how many cards are in circulation, what the market's looking like as we move forward through the year, and we continue to get new players filtered into the game. So as always, guys, stay the course, keep on forging, and more importantly than anything else, have fun. See you soon.